Surprise, motherfucker.
Yes, guys, welcome to the most must-see show on Cardiff City World, nay, Ace Podcast Nation. This is your Fleur Hour. Do not adjust your devices. It is not Matthew Angel with a hair transplant and a facelift. I am here with Pang, the Greek leak. How the devil are you, my friend?
I'm doing well, Rob. Yeah, nice to be on the show, mate. I said I've been away for a few weeks, but yeah, it's... Matty's taking over the airways, I think, haven't he?
Yeah, he's dead to me now, mate. So don't worry about him in the slightest. This is all about me and you, mate. Who needs Angel?
Exactly.
We don't need
Exactly.
that. Nah, mate, it's class. It's been a while. I think I was thinking back and looking at the last time we caught up. I think the last time we watched a watch along. I think, mate, was it the Welsh game potentially?
I think I was thinking it was you and Matt on, wasn't it? And I came on. Remember, it was the City game when I was in the pub. And I think I came on.
Oh, that's right.
Remember, yeah, something like that, wasn't it, to me? But yeah, the watch along was awful, wasn't it? That was it Gibraltar, wasn't it? So
yeah, needless to say, mate, I've done a few watch alongs with either yourself or Matt, or you and Matt, and it's not gone well. And needless to say, they are no more. So I've got a 0% success rate with those, mate. To be honest with you, excuse me. So I'm not too sure when they'll be coming back, if at all, if I'm honest with you. So those of you wonderful people who normally watch the Fleur Hour on a Wednesday, you know, you used to me and Angel doing a bit of Cardiff talk and a quiz. A little bit different this evening. We are going to solely focus on Cardiff, talk about what's going on within the club at the moment, talk about last weekend, and have a quick little look at the upcoming fixtures as well. Obviously, we can't do a show about you all, so make sure you get in the comments, some questions, etc. And let's make this a cracker. Not too sure if it'll last a full hour all. We'll go as long as we can. My voice is dipping in and out, so I do apologize in advance, but we'll make the best of it. Anyway, without further ado, let's dive right in, my friend.
Yeah.
Omar Rhys. He obviously, you know, hit the ground running massively in terms of results. Seems to have dropped off of late prior to the international break and even post-international break as well. What's your thoughts at this moment in time? Are we still Rhys in, keep him till the end of the season, or are we enough's enough now? Let's get someone with a more secure head on their shoulders in.
Yeah, I think it's the thing is, Rob, isn't it? Like, you know, when Rhys came in, a lot of City fans are going, "Oh, he's all right for a couple of games." You know, the honeymoon kind of period, and you just think, you know, he didn't have any experience as a manager. Obviously came in as a tap coach by Bullet, but I don't think Bullet used him in the right way because we just weren't scoring goals. So obviously it was good to see Rhys come in on it because we had some really good results, you know, early on, and everyone's getting excited. Think, well, you know, it's about the players. They didn't really want to play for Bullet. That was obvious, and they like Rhys, so that's 50% of it, isn't it? And then it's about coaching and stuff. But I think, you know, we got 1 point in the last 5 games, Rob. And I know, obviously, you know, it's been over 70 days now, like since he's been in sort of temporary charge. And I just don't. I personally, and this is just my view, and I probably back at the wrong tree, but I was just thinking about it before I come on, and I just can't see how Vincent Tan is looking to stay at the club. I think behind the scenes, it's just my view that he's looking desperately, not desperately, but looking to get out. And I think, you know, with obviously, like I was thinking as well, like West Brom about 6 months ago, they got sold and they're worth about 68 million. I think Tan wants over 100 million for us easily. But reality is, you know, if West Brom have got a bit better squad, better infrastructure, better average crowds, you know, possibly a better stadium, how is it we're going to get like 30% more money than West Brom? So I don't know about the valuation of the club but what I'm trying to say, I actually don't think from reason not having a contract or us not getting a manager in, there's no win in the football game. No City fan can see any sense in it continuing this way, can they? Because, I mean, Rhys has left in limbo. You know, he started really well. Most people would say, look, give me a contract or I'm going. You know, and I just honestly think that behind the scenes, Tan's looking to get out. He's not going to offer Rhys a contract. I'm just praying that, you know, January, February time, he's going to turn around and say, look, I've sold the club for whatever, like to someone who's actually going to be committed to turning up, you know, and have a board in charge who care about the club, and engage with the fans, mate. I don't know what you think, but there's such a lack of engagement. I think it's like going back to when we had the red shirts, Rob. You know, it's like it feels like that. You know, we're at an all-time low ebb in terms of the morale, the engagement between City fans and our board and the club. You know, and what was the gate against, you know, QPR, mate? I mean, there was hardly anyone there, was there?
Yeah.
You know, it didn't seem like anyone was there at all. So I don't know how you feel about it, Rob, but I just don't understand any of this going on at the moment. I mean, I don't dislike Rhys, but I just think, you know, he's not for me the one long term, but I don't see us getting a manager in. And if that's the case, surely something's going on behind the scenes.
I just want to swing back to what you mentioned earlier, regards to the days, etc. I know we're on similar social media groups, etc. About the 70-day malarkey and no response, etc. But about that open statement from the fans to the board, and still silence on there. I mean, do you expect there to be a response? Was you expecting it to be a response, or you just thought?
I don't think so, Rob. The fans, that fans advisory committee or whatever they're called, you know, they don't represent all City fans, obviously, but in terms of what they've said, you know, a lot of it, City fans will resonate with. The fact is we're frustrated. You know, we want clear direction of the club. So a lot of those things they said, you know, make sense. But they don't listen to that, Rob. You know that. I mean, Tan is his own man. You know, he just tells Dalman what to do and Chew, and that's it. And he's got his puppets. So anything that was mentioned in that fan statement is all well and good, but nothing that's going to change in terms of, oh yeah, you know, next week we're going to appoint Bilic or Gus Poyet or whatever, like someone, you know, who's got a good management experience. So yeah, I think the letter is all well and good, but I just can't see things changing. And as I said, Tan, you know, looking at other things as well. Look at the Salah case. You know, that case is not going to close till the end of next year, and he's asking for 104 million quid, which that figure he's got comes from the fact that if Salah had obviously played for us, this is what his thinking is. He was coming as a potential 15 goal a season, and he would have been the one, you know, to have whatever in the Premier League, like, you know. So he's saying that 104 million is losses about not being in the Premier League. But that's like saying anything. You can't guarantee any player who signs for you is going to get X amount and is going to. So that argument goes out the window. I think he's got no chance of getting anywhere near that. But what he might end up doing is the Salah fee was 15 million, and he might end up getting half of it, you know, because I think he had to pay it all, I think, didn't he, in the end? So, you know, that court case, which is going to, I mean, again, the cost of the lawyers, I mean, they're laughing, aren't they? They make a fortune, but that's not going to end until next year. But I don't think if he sells the club, I don't think that matters if he sells the club before that court case, because that court case is separate. So I'd be interested in if other City fans who are listening, whether they feel that he can't sell until the case is closed. I think it's separate. So I just think that he's had interest in the club, but it's got to be a value that he's happy with. And I think all his family I mean, I know for a fact that have said to him, like, get out. Why are you still there and all this kind of stuff. And he doesn't turn up, does he? So he's got no interest really. He was there when we got to the Premier League, Rob. But when when we need that kind of direction, he's nowhere to be seen. So yeah, I just think myself, we got to get a new ownership in, and again, we can't do anything about that, can we? It's like selling a house. If there's a buyer out there willing to pay the fee, then the seller will sell. But who knows? But yeah, it's a bit of a mess all around at the moment, Rob, isn't it?
Yeah, I gotta be honest. I don't think anyone's touching the club until the Salah situation is sorted. I know it's not directly involved in that regard, and it wouldn't cause an issue in terms of selling the club. But I don't think any respectable owner, put it that way, would touch the club. There's owners out there who may go for it from X, Y, or Z places in the world, potentially, as they couldn't care less, to be honest about it. But I think any respectable owner wouldn't touch that deal until it's dead and buried. Maybe the wrong choice of words, but they won't touch it until the case is done and it's finished with. Personally, I think. I just want to. There's been a lot of comments already, so I appreciate it. Jonathan Davis says Rhys is about to be named permanent manager. Apparently, not too. Where did you see that, too, my friend? Not seen nothing yet on that personally, but that'll be interesting if that's the case. He also follows up with, "And Rhys are in, but he needs help. We can't just hope he can get us through with under 21 staff, inexperienced managers. Needs people to help them and learn from the inexperience. Can't help inexperience." So on that note, then obviously Darren Pearce, who was obviously heavily involved in the under 21s and has been stepped up over the last few months or so. Do you think there's still a place for him?
I hope so,
amongst
Rob.
The first team staff?
I hope so, Rob. I mean, he's well regarded, isn't he, down the city, and he's well liked. So, and he's done well with the under 21s, I think. So, I mean, you'd hope so. I mean, again, it's that like Jonathan said, it's having a bit of experience, though. Of maybe managing in the Championship or being sort of an assistant in the Championship to sort of help Rhys out. But obviously, I keep on thinking, like, the squad itself isn't going to change much. I mean, there's a few guys to come back from injury in there, and I do wonder whether if Rhys is appointed, as Jonathan said, whether he'll be able to bring someone else. But I agree with Jonathan. I think someone experienced alongside him might help. I mean, Percy's, obviously done well in the 21s, and sometimes you've got to give him an opportunity, haven't you? But I'd like to see someone experienced. Personally, I just don't. I can't see how 1 point in the last 5 games, justifies a permanent contract for Rhys. I don't know what you think.
No, that's right, and I think we're jumping on the coattails of obviously the earlier the form of what Rhys put in. Not to swing back too much, but it's a good point actually in terms of the 21s, etc. Ringdorf. Now, Darren Pearce obviously coached the guy at the 21 level. Now, obviously, he's helping out at senior level, Ringdorf in and around the squad. Do you think that Percy is in having much impact on Rhys, say, in regards to getting him in the team and things like that. Because me personally, I'm not sure about yourself, but I know a lot of you guys and girls and their names in the chat have mentioned over previous shows, etc., on various platforms. We've been crying out for Reindorf to play much more, maybe not start. I appreciate he's young, he's raw, but when we're bringing on Kanga, we're bringing on Mate, etc., and we got players like Reindorf, we know that he's hungry and keen to cause a problem, but yet he's still getting overlooked. I would have thought Darren would have had more of an impact on that personally, or maybe Reza just doesn't take his advice so much, or maybe Perce is not as forthcoming with it. So I think that's maybe a query that we could, question.
Yeah. I mean, I think, to be fair, Rob, obviously Reindorf, he wasn't getting a look in a few games ago, was he? And I think, to be honest with you, I think Reza, like any manager, will always go to the under-21 coaches and whatever and say, look, you're seeing the games week in, week out. Percy's going to turn around and say, look, he's ready, or he's worth a squad place, because there's not much more he could have done in the under-21s, Rob. Is there? So,
not at all.
There's a few City fans who regularly watch the under-21s, and they're saying good things about him. And to be honest with you, when I've seen him, I think it was a cup game he came on. He looked. He makes good runs, don't he? And he looks more dangerous. I mean, Kanga's just a complete waste of space. We all City fans know that. That's dead in the water. Miete, what happened to Miete after the whole season, isn't it? The whole season he's been absolute pants. I think there was one game recently he came on as a sub and he did well. I can't remember which game was at home, but I thought he did quite well for that 10, 15 minutes. And then obviously he scores a goal at Coventry, cups his ears and to the City fans, and then makes a statement after the game, comes out with a statement saying it's not good for himself that having the negativity from the fans. I mean, this guy's unreal. What he should have done, and what he's done, he's actually made it worse for himself, because after cupping his ears to the City fans, he should have come out and apologised immediately and said, look, I was frustrated, obviously, because I'm like he's saying, he's given 100%, which he might be doing. He's still average. But he should have said, look, I'm really sorry for what I did. I really want to do well for Cardiff City. I know you're not happy with my performances, but I want this form to continue, i.e. scoring goals. If he'd said that, Rob, nearly all have been forgiven for what he did. But what he's actually done is made it 10 times worse, because he hasn't apologised. He just basically defended himself and sort of said, well, I'm not happy with City fans because I'm giving 100% and they're not happy with me, on the pitch. Well, I'm not being funny, Matty, but you've played a number of games this season and at best you're a 4 or 5 out of 10. And to turn around after 6.5 out of 10, that I just don't get some of these professional players, Rob. They really frustrate me, and they wonder why, for me, I'm obviously old school, connections with Phil Dwyer years ago, like born in Grangetown, a real connection with the City fans. And where's those connections with the fans? Where are the players, connecting with the fans? And that's one example where the disconnect is there. He couldn't give two hoots about Cardiff City fans. He really couldn't. He should be saying to them, I'm really sorry. I'm going to continue this form. I want to continue this form. Please give me, your support. And fans would have looked at it a little bit different. But, I just think he made it worse. I don't know what you thought about that, Rob.
Yeah, I don't think anyone's a winner there, personally. I get that it is very frustrating watching Matey at times, and yes, maybe he is trying as hard as he possibly can. I don't think he's good enough at this level, personally. I don't agree with his celebration. I appreciate that it can't be nice being ridiculed and things like that. I 100% get that entirely. I get it. But he needs to look at the end of the day. The only way he's going to silence fans and without doing gestures is to show it on the pitch.
Yeah,
show it on the pitch. Right, he scored the other day. Fab. Right, let's kick on now, and on the weekend, go and get another one, get another two. He could have had a couple on commentary if his finishing was better. Fact, he could have easily. If that was a different player with a different pedigree, they would have got a couple more goals easily. I'm not a fan of the statement personally, as you said. I think that he's just defending it himself. I don't think he needed to make a statement, if I'm honest. I think that, he done the celebration. I get it, but I don't think he needed to do it. I just think he needs to show his worth on the pitch personally. The last thing this club needs is a segregation between players and fans, even more so, because we've all been there. I'll eat some humble pie because you all watched the show last season and how critical I was of Josh Bowler. Still am, but that's a different story. But we know, I wouldn't go as far as critiquing him online and social media and things like that. Do you know what I mean? Directly. I don't think he's a subscriber to Cardiff City World and his podcast nation, so I'm all right here. But I just think we've got to be wary of what we're doing, and I think players got to be wary of what they're doing as well. And the best thing he can do is prove all of us wrong on the weekend. And if he plays, is just, for the love of God, put a performance in better than 6 out of 10. That's what I think personally, mate. But
I agree. I mean, like I said, but I honestly, what you were saying is, you didn't think he should have made a statement, but once he's done that, Rob, he's kind of put himself in a position where fans have got their back up, and I think if he come out and say sorry and I'm determined to, continue this form, okay. But I just got a sneaky feeling that the game against Watford on Saturday, if he plays, I wouldn't be surprised in the Canton if there are a few boos. And that I don't necessarily agree with it, but I can understand City fans because they may feel like, well, he hasn't really apologised. You know what I mean? It's kind of like he sort of, in his statement, he sort of said, well, the City fans are blaming him for everything that's going wrong in the City. But I look at it, you're an individual player, and when you come on the pitch, we need to see something from you. You're a forward, getting in good positions, and if he's a big lad, and he should be scoring a few more goals. And I'm not. It's not just him. Atete, Atete was the same, Rob, wasn't he? He's going to be coming back now in the next week or two, and Atete, my God, he's like Bambi on ice. I mean, he's not much better either. And then you've got Kanga. I mean, how we've got all these so-called strikers or forwards who are absolutely useless is incredible. And saying what you did about Reindorf, he should be involved, and he should be on the bench. But also with Robinson, we're relying on him when he's not fit. He's playing games when he's not 100%. And, that's because the manager doesn't believe anyone else is capable. When Robinson can be 75% fit, you'd rather play him. So I think Reindorf on the bench, coming on with 15, 20 minutes here and there, City fans, I think, would, obviously expect that now, because I think I don't know what else we can say about the other strikers that we haven't already discussed. We've seen them so many times, Rob, haven't we? And they failed so many times. I mean, surely the lad should be given 2 or 3 games before the transfer window opened in January, just to give the guy a bit of confidence and say, look, and young, as you know, Rob, young players like a Colwell, it didn't happen overnight for him. Suddenly now, after playing over 100 odd games, he's now one of our best players. But, obviously young players have to get experience playing for, somehow. And I think he should play. But, yeah, I think a lot of City fans are frustrated with him not getting more game time, aren't they?
100%, mate. So talking about better players, for you, who is your best player of the season so far? Who stood out for you?
Yeah, this is I tell you, because we had this chat before, and we brought up the fact that it'd be interesting, people listening, if we ask the question, and I'll answer your question, Rob, but on the back of that as well, I'd like to ask the people watching, who out of Cardiff City players this season, in your view, is averaging 7 out of 10 or higher? So 7 being good. We would say 6 is average performance, yeah, sort of like in between that. But someone who's averaging 7 out of 10 this season, it'd be interesting to hear City fans who they think, who would be doing that. I mean, as things stand at the moment, you've got the goalkeeper Alnwick, who I think we all agree, compared to the American keeper, is a lot better, and he has really improved us in that position. I think he's under a 7. Just I think. I mean, I looked at the stats. He was higher 6s, and then you've got Robertson, who I'll have to tell you a story. It's a bit personal actually, because I entered a competition with Cardiff City, and I said that I was a mascot in 1985, and my lad was a mascot in 2020. And it was about the 125-year anniversary. Kind of, they were asking fans to, and I had a phone call saying, "Oh, your lads won the competition." So Alex Robertson turned up at my sister's house at the time. He was only down the road from training for him, and so he had a couple of Premier tickets, the lounge tickets, and he had a ball. He had photos with him. But on that story, you see, his mother is from Peru, and my wife is Peruvian. So my wife said, "Look, take the Peruvian shirt and try and convince him, because he's Australian. He can play for either Australia, I think, or Scotland or Peru."
Yeah, yeah.
So on the Cardiff City website, there's a photo of him holding. We tried to get him to wear the Peruvian shirt. He said he can't do that.
That's amazing.
He was holding the Peruvian shirt, and then all the comments on Instagram and Facebook were from Peruvians. So they've all got this information. So they're now contacting the Peruvian Football Federation, because obviously they found out that he's qualifies. And I've been over to Peru watching a few games, and their fans are absolutely incredible. I mean, I remember there was someone who 90 odd years of age sitting near me. You got 5-year-old kids. Everyone over there loves football. Is so passionate in South America, as you probably know. So they were. So that was an interesting story, because I think out holding that shirt now, he's going to get all this, all these Peruvians trying to get him to play. But I think Robertson is definitely up there. Colwell, obviously, I think he's up there, and Gutas, even though he had a bad start, Rob, I think he's really solid at the back. And then you've got O'Dowda and Robinson and Ng. So I don't know who of those I would have thought you would consider being, the best players so far.
That's a tricky one. I definitely say Jack. He's definitely saved our asses, and it's a great commentary from Paul, who's from the US of A. And he's a Jack Almec. I live in USA, and still say he made a massive difference over Harvard. Thank you so much, mate, for joining us, by the way. That's quality. The thing is, right, and this might be a tad controversial, but screw it, it's Flower Hour, who cares? Ruben Colwell.
Yeah.
On his day, quality, but the stuff that irritates me the most is he needs to speed up his movement and his attack and things like that. So at times, I feel like the gameplay slows down so much, and I think he tries to do too much at times as well. It reminds me a bit of, and I'm not comparing the players' careers, etc., but do you remember when Cristiano Ronaldo first joined Man United?
Yeah.
And he was trying to do all these fancy things, and he was taking time on the ball. He was overcomplicating things and just trying to overdo it just to stand out, if you like. And the talent is there, but he's just trying to do too much and just trying to overcomplicate things, and it can bite him in the arse at times. The lad is quality. There's no doubt about it. And, Ruben is a guy who could potentially lead Cardiff onto great things over the next 5-10 years or whatever it is. But his game still needs maturing, and there's a reason why. I don't want to turn this into a talk by any stretch of imagination, but there's a reason why Liam Cullen, that bastard, he got chosen instead of Ruben. I know they are slightly different positions as such, but if Ruben was on the top of his game, he would have fit his way in ahead of Liam Cullen. That's where I think personally he's improved, but he still needs to improve a hell of a lot more for me. I've liked how, I know you were mentioning him there, I think Oli Tanner's done a lot better this season. There's still flaws in his game. There's still big flaws in there, but I feel like since Rhys has come in, especially, he's kicked on a bit. He looks more of an accomplished player. But I think Alnwick for me personally, and also, sorry not to harp on, but I've been quite impressed with how Turnbull's kicked on as well. He's another one who seems to have turned the corner, and I'm very, very happy how he's kicked on personally, I think.
I'd agree with that, Rob. I mean, you're spot on really with your analysis there about Colwell. I think the word frustrates at times in terms of what he's doing, and I think the comparison with Ronaldo when he was first at United, not comparing what they do, in terms of performance, but in terms of overdoing it is bang on, mate. And I think with Ruben, I think it's, with Craig Bellamy, like you were talking about with Cullen, Craig Bellamy, he's come out and said it so many times in public that he's told Ruben what he needs to do to be able to get into the first team. So there's a number of things he's not doing at the moment that he should be. And I think for someone of his, in terms of the amount of games he's played for City now, he's got the experience, hasn't he? He's got the more confidence. You can see that. And Rhys is obviously getting more out of him than Bullet, without question. But, there's all this thing about scoring goals, the assists, his positional play. When he drifts to the left, there's more space. But when he sort of harps on that right-hand side, which he does with Tanner and Ng, sometimes it goes in these triangles and nothing really goes on. And as you said, the flip, there's a couple of flicks that he's going to do that suddenly goes straight to the opposition. They have a breakaway, and he's got to be very careful about things like that. It's not about not express. You've got to ask, young players will make mistakes, don't they? That's the way it is. But I think you're bang on, mate, with your analysis. And I think probably overall, Alnwick of those, and Robertson, really, I think has done well. But Turnbull's a big loss now, Rob. He's out for a few weeks, isn't he?
It's a few weeks. I weren't too sure. I know he's obviously taken a knock. I gotta be honest, mate, I weren't too sure how long he was actually out for. I think
he's done something on his hamstring. I doubt whether we'll see him this side of
the Christmas period then.
Yeah, and that's the worry, isn't it, going into the Watford game, in terms of, when we had that really good spell, and I was a big critic at Turnbull. He come for a reasonable fee from Celtic. He never had a massive goal scoring record there, but I spoke to Celtic fans and they've said that he was considered as lazy, had all the ability in the world, but didn't really, he didn't score a lot of goals for him. And I think they were quite happy that they got £2 million for him. But when he come to us, I couldn't see how he fitted in. he just had a few minutes there, and you could. But I think with Robertson, that partnership, Rob, was excellent, isn't it? And I think the problem we got now is having CO there, which is, as much as we love his work rate, it's all about combinations, isn't it? And CO and Robertson, I don't think works because Robertson is a natural 8. But I think Turnbull with Robertson seems to give us that go forward. I think that's the concern for us, isn't it, now that Turnbull's, out, is that we had a really good partnership there between Robertson and Turnbull, and then you had your Colwells and Tanners, and you had good footballers, and I think we've lost a little bit of something there. So I don't know how you feel about CO playing and what your view of him.
I'm a massive. Do you know what, mate? Those who watch know that I'm a huge fan of CO. Rhys, obviously. No, I am. No, I am a huge fan of CO. It's difficult though because I'm starting to understand that these. I don't like to admit it, but I'm starting to understand that he shouldn't be a regular starter in the team now, and it pays me. It does pay me to say it.
Yeah.
Because I'm a huge fan of him, massive fan of him. The effort, the energy, the heart he's got is what I love. What I love from a central midfielder. But he needs more. And the thing is it goes back to like the wingers we've had in the past. It's all well and good having that attitude and the love and desire and etc. But you gotta see we need more to be successful. We need more than that. It's all well and good having that effort and energy, but it's gotta be more. But
I just think it's a worry, isn't it, in the fact that I think obviously that combination of CO and Robertson, I'm not so sure it works. And then you got Rolsey, who really, to me, and in my view, and I never criticise the guy because he's been a great servant for us, but I just don't see him as a first team player for us to progress. And that's not knocking, him in terms of his work rate. But, it'd be interesting what fans think with Turnbull being out, and say if you didn't play CO with Robertson, who is there, or have we got anyone in that squad who could fill Turnbull's role as he plays it, and that I can't think of anyone off the top of my head similar to that kind of player. And that's the concern really in terms of us going into this Watford game. And Watford have only lost 1 in 7. They scored 6 away to Sheffield Wednesday, and they got 2 strikers who've got sort of like 12 goals between them. So it's going to be a tough game, Rob, on Saturday for us. They're in the playoffs as well, I think, aren't they?
Yeah, it's not a game you want to be playing right now. On the back of results we've had, Watford are one of those teams. I don't like Watford at all. I've always hated them. Large part side comment, but I hate Troy Deeney. I can't stand him then. I can't stand him now. He does a lot of shows, podcasts and things like that, and I just can't stand his arrogance. Like, I tell you what, right? Going way off topic.
Yeah,
he got fuming that somebody on another show said that Peter Crouch was a better footballer than him, and he got absolutely livid. And it just made me laugh so much of how much of an arrogant turd you are to think you're better than Peter Crouch. Peter Crouch looks like a spider on a hot plate when he's running around, but Jesus Christ, the career Peter Crouch had compared to that thug, by the way, the thug and criminal Troy Deeney is next to nothing. Also, Deeney, if you're watching this, come join us on the show. But I know that was a little rant on that, mate. But
I can't disagree with that, mate. I can't. And my era of Watford was John Barnes before yours, when he was pure class, mate. But that was a different era, that one. But Watford are going to be tricky, aren't they, at home? And we've got some tough games coming up, haven't we? Because I think we got 3 of our 4 home games: Preston, Sheffield United, and Watford. And obviously looking at those 3 home games, I don't know if it was some City fans. I remember went down to watch us against Preston. Was it last season? I don't know if we lost at home against Preston as well. So they what I mean? It's kind of like you don't want to be going into the new year like in that bottom 3. And that's what I think City fans 4 or 5 weeks ago were saying, and probably rightly so, there was like 4 or 5 points on there between 17 and 6.
Yeah.
And now you're looking at where we're at. I think we're 12 or 15 points behind that 6th team. And realistically, we're kind of, you've got to look at the bottom and say where we're at the moment is we just need to get out of that relegation zone, don't we? And get some points on the board, because all this talk before a month ago about possible getting back up in the top 10, I just think we're in a different position now, Rob.
Yeah, 100%, mate. I think this season now is, unless results change over the next 6 weeks, I think the fair thing is now we just see where we are come January. We all know how busy the Christmas period is, how congested it is. So, we got to wait, I think, see where we are come end of December, beginning of January. And then it's almost like a reset on the season. I mean, I've just been looking at the league standings. I know it's easy for me to sit here and say it, but you look at teams below us at the moment, Plymouth, they are sinking massively. They don't look good enough to be in this league at all. The Wayne Rooney effect, obviously, and you got Hull City, QPR. We won't talk about them too much, and Pompey. For me,
I think Oxford as well.
Cardiff are better than all of them.
Yeah. Oxford have been on a really bad run, and I at the beginning of the season,
they're dropping like a rock. They are as well.
Yeah, I did a pod on them saying they were going to come bottom, and even though they started well, they dropped like a stone in the last 5-6 games. And you're talking 1 or 2 more games that could be easy in the bottom 3, and I think they'll get found out. So yeah, there's definitely 3 or 4 or 5 worse teams than us, but at the end of the day, mate, it's all about getting points on the board, isn't it? And I think our issue, as we kept on saying so many times, is we had 24 shots against QPR, and we did 0 goals. And that's basically tells you all about Cardiff City, is the fact that we're definitely creating more chances than last season, and definitely been an improvement from having Rhys compared to Bullet in creating chances. But you've got to score, and like I said, relying on a half-fit Robinson, it's just not good enough, is it? And like I said, Isaac Davis, is he due to come back in the next few weeks? But I think he's had a long injury, hasn't he? And we talked about so many times that there's just no strikers other than young Reindorf that we can say, oh, we've got optimism about, or we believe that they can come in. I mean, what's happened with Ashford? I mean, Ashford hasn't had a look in, has he?
Yeah, well, apparently I've seen a few things about this, and similar to what was it Tanner last season? There was an attitude issue, and he was pulled away from it, which is I'm led to believe is why his involvement has dropped down. Whether he's got, obviously I don't know the ins and outs, whether he's got too big for his boots. He's had a few appearances in the first team and thought, I've made it. You don't know. Obviously, there's 2 sides. Well, 3 sides to every story. Player's side, the coach's side, and the real story. So it remains to be seen on that, mate. But yeah, I liked Ashford. I thought he was a good player. So whatever has happened, I hope that it can resolve so we can see him, making some form of an appearance for the team, because God knows we need something.
I mean, if you looked at those games at home, Rob, Watford, Preston and Sheffield United. In your view, looking at those 3 games, what do you think is a good return, and what do you think we'll get? You know, do you think we're going to beat Watford?
No, I think that's a draw.
Yeah.
So I think 4 points personally. I think we draw with Watford, we beat Preston, and we lose to Sheffield United.
Yeah.
In reality, I wouldn't be surprised for 2-3 points personally.
Yeah.
What about yourself, mate?
I think Sheffield United are obviously the strongest of those 3, aren't they? And you know, Watford's going to be tough, but you know, we can win it. But yeah, it's one of those where they're obviously on a good run. They've got 2 good quality strikers. The French lad, I think, and there's a guy from Congo. You know, like I said, between them, 12 goals is a pretty good return for two strikers already. I think, you know, we talked about Tanner, you know, and you're right what you said earlier, but Tanner and Colwell have played something like 18 games each or something, and it's was it a couple of goals or 3 goals between them? You know, that's the poor return again, Rob. And you know, we looked at last season about players like Gutas, you know, getting over half a dozen, a lot from set pieces. And I'll be interested what City fans think of our set pieces, because I think off the top of my head last season when we had Wintle, and I'm not saying that Wintle would have been the answer this year, but Wintle was taking the corners. And I think Gutas got 4 or 5 headers from corners. So I think Rolsey was taking corners this year. And then Robertson, as much as I love Robertson, I don't think his corners have been any good at all. And I think that's an area, again, you know, as attacking coach, set plays, you know, sometimes, have we got a set play specialist coach? Because a lot of these teams now have just got a specific set play coach, you know, and to say, look, corners, free kicks, even throw-ins from just near the box. These are really important areas, aren't they? You know, goals are goals. It doesn't matter where they come from. And I think that's a real concern for us, Rob, that we just don't seem to get enough goals from set pieces. And as much as we're enjoying the open play, and it is better, I think that's something that you mentioned about Rhys having a bit of help. I think someone specifically as a set play coach could help us.
Yeah, 100%. It is quite bizarre. You know, Cardiff have been renowned for set pieces for last 10 plus years, maybe.
Yeah.
For the damage they cause with, you know, the centre halves, etc. that we've had over that time, and it is a little bit, maybe a little bit concerning, but bizarre that we don't seem to be nowhere near that now, even though similar players, if not some of the same players, are still there. Why is it seem to dried up? Is it a case of, you know, we're not being proactive in our movements, in our attack from corners and set pieces, as clubs cottoned on to what we've done? It's a strange one, mate, to be honest, because, you know, that sort of set piece play, regardless of who's in charge, you'd like to think the foundations are still there for it to be still effective. But yeah, it is a bit of an odd one, to be honest with you, mate.
It used to be Sean Morrison, didn't it, Rob? He used to score from the player. You know, and many years ago, we used to have Andy Legg used to throw it in, you know, from like 50, 60 yards. He used to throw it in from the halfway line, like, you know, and you get it into the box. And, you know, once it's in that box, anything can happen, can't it? But you need players like a Sean Morrison who's effective. But Gutas is good in the air. But as I said, it's a number of things in it. The opposition do their homework, but you need to have someone who can switch it up a bit. And I don't know about you, but we don't see many variation in corners. You know, you get the ball at the back post or the near post, but you know, you see some of these other teams doing a move where they just sort of pass it to someone, then he sort of passes it into the box. And when it comes off, it's great, but sometimes you've got to switch it up and vary it a bit, haven't you?
Yeah, well, that's it. Going back to your comment about the players of yesteryears who were, like your Sean Morrisons, your Aidan Flints, Saul Bamba. Kutas has been damaging from there, and and Paul makes a good point here. An actual decent target man would help. If you're having a target man in the box, Jesus Christ, like the damage that should be causing from corners speaks volumes. Like, a target man can't cause damage from a corner, then you're not really a target man, you.
That's right. And that's what you worry about, the Mietes, strong physical bulls of players, isn't they? With Kanga, with those situations, they're not scoring,
100%, mate. Should we do a quick little prediction for Saturday before we wrap up, Ben?
Yeah, sounds good, mate. Yeah. So, what are you going for against Watford? What's the score?
I'm gonna go for. I know this proper contradicts what I just said earlier on, so bugger it. I'm gonna go 2-1 Cardiff. You all can probably guess my scorers if you've watched my shows before. I'm going to go 2-1 Cardiff, Dimmy and Seal to score.
Brilliant. To be honest with you, Rob, I was going to say the same because I had it in my head a draw, but I just think against Watford, there's no reason why we can't sneak a win. So I'm going to go 2-1. I'm going to go for Kutas and Robinson. Obviously, I hope that's the case, and we desperately need a win, don't we? Desperately need a win. So I just, fingers crossed, mate. We're both right.
100%. Paul says 2-2 draw. Do you know what? Like I said, draw is not the worst result in the world. It just keeps them points taking over, mate. That's the main thing. Yeah. Listen, thank you so much for coming on, mate. It's been lovely to chat with you. We won't leave it as long next time because it's been class. I've loved it. Yeah. Thank you all to those who've watched along, your comments, etc. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and share. And as you can see down the bottom of your screen, don't forget to join and become an Ace Podcast Nation member for the price of a cup of coffee a month. You can become an Ace Podcast Nation member and you get early access to certain shows. I do most weeks a patron show on a Monday with Rhys Pycroft, who is a very interesting, should we say, man. There's also a show on Patreon tomorrow, I believe, with Sai, so make sure you keep a lookout on that. I will be back myself next Wednesday. Mr. Angel and Rhys will be back on Saturday for the 1927 Club, maybe showing at 9 o'clock as they have been doing recently. But keep a look on your socials, guys. But thank you all very, very much again. Without further ado, Pam, will you do me the no, you don't even know what it is. Have a flower.
Have a flower.